You've heard me talk about... You've heard me talk about Squares golf shoes and how they help you hit the golf ball further. And many of you are saying, oh, come on, Faldo, give us a break. How is that possible? But yes, they do. And it's proven with science.
What we noticed with the Square shoes was the shoe keeps the pressure in a more stable fashion towards inside of the trail heel, allowing pressure to get to the lead side, generating much more club and speed and distance gain.
Visit squares.com. Change your shoes, change your game. Squares, the distance golf shoe.
And welcome back to Big's Golf Talk, BGT 2.0. I am Big John Quick. He is the golf father, Bill Cuevas, here on BGT TV and Big's Golf Talk. Our social media, follow us, Al, at Big's Golf Talk, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and subscribe with us on YouTube. Every Friday night, BGT TV is aired on YouTube TV. And Bill, you want to talk about our next guest?
Absolutely. Our next guest is from KT. He's actually out on tour. Everybody's been talking about it on social media, about Spieth's injury, Jordan Spieth, and how he hurt himself and everything, and what he's doing, and this miraculous tape that's helping him. So we're going to have Dr. Eli Rogers.
Don't forget, Katie Tape had something to do with Tony Finau in the Masters. Remember, he twisted his ankle, dislocated his ankle during the par 3 challenge.
Yes. And we all, us real super fans, we actually saw it when it happened. And what he did to that foot, that leg, was incredible.
He shouldn't have been able to golf on
it. No, not at all.
And not to mention walk it.
Yes. So there's a lot of stuff that goes behind this KT tape. And now it's been brought back to light with Jordan Spieth and his injuries. And, when we first heard about it, I was kind of skeptical about it. But then they started talking more, and he came out and he apologized that he wasn't unable. We saw the doctors. And for him to be where he is right now and attribute it to KT tape and everything and what's going on, we wanted to share the story as well. So we're going to bring on Dr. Eli Rogers.
Oh, before we get to him, want to mention this. This segment is sponsored by the Distance Shoe. Squares Shoes, proof, not promise. And head over to squares.com, SQAIRZ.com. We talk about how Katie Tape helps the body. Well, it all starts in one place. It all starts at the foundation, and that starts right at your feet. And Squares Shoes certainly helps your feet and that foundation for you to generate more speed and more
power.
Distance. Yes.
Absolutely. Right. So let's bring on the doc, see what he got to say, because I got a bunch of questions.
Dr. Eli Rogers is joining us here on Big's Golf Talk. Dr. Rogers, welcome into BGT TV and Big's Golf Talk.
Well, thank you both for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Now, we appreciate you. Can you give us a little bit of details about you so the folks that have never heard about you, they know what you do, where you come from, your background? People want to know why we're tying it into golf, and you cover all that stuff. So you are perfect for the golf show.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start. I got a doctorate of physical therapy a few years ago in Rocky Mountain University. That's here in Utah, which is where I'm practicing right now in an outpatient orthopedic center. So I deal mostly with orthopedic injuries from the foot all the way up to the neck. But I, in particular, specialize in golfers from my previous history of golfing. So I was a scholarship athlete at Utah State University. I was academic All-American while I was playing there. Turned professional, went through a couple levels of the PGA while I was waiting for physical therapy to come through. But in that meantime, I did play on what's called the Dakotas Tour, which is just a mini tour up in the North Dakota area. Mm-hmm. So my background in golf and the combo with PT is really exciting because I love treating golfers.
Oh, cool. So how did you come along to join KT?
So KT reached out to me through a mutual, I guess, acquaintance. Okay. They were looking for medical providers who were looking to provide a quality rehab product. And I can't talk too much about it, but they wanted me to help with that design and function for a product that I would actually recommend, because I'm pretty, particular. I want my patients to have the best. And if I don't believe in a product, then I'm not going to recommend it, or I'm going to tell them the pros and cons.
You sound like us.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you ever say, when you were approached by them, did you ever say tape? I mean, this is tape, and before, and then start doing your research on what that tape was all about and where it was coming from?
Yeah. This is going to be, it'll be enlightening. This is very candid, obviously. You guys get to see everything that I feel, but so the reason they brought me on, and again, this is what I think the main reason was because I recommended against tape. I didn't like to use tape because I didn't think that the properties were that effective for the injuries that they were claiming and some of those things. So not to say I never used it for the right person, I did, but I would say I was definitely more on the skeptic scale before I got more involved. And I still take I try and take an unbiased approach. I really dive into the research to make sure that the claims that they're saying are accurate, because I'm skeptic like anyone else. Someone comes out with a new product, I'm like, well, probably not. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Absolutely. So can you give us a little bit of details? What's going on with Jordan?
Yeah. So again, I'm not his therapist. I don't know him personally.
Yeah.
So I can take my best guess.
Yeah.
But from the tape job that he had, so if you guys remember, he had a strip of tape that was wrapped around his wrist, as well as a tape that went from his wrist up down the back of his arm.
Yep.
So there's two really common injuries in golfers that happen. One is your tendinopathy, especially at impact with these ulnar deviators. So anything where we're going that way at impact position, we can cause some tendonitis, which can be really debilitating, especially for a professional golfer. Okay. That's the one that I think is most likely with him.
Okay.
The other thing that may happen in that particular area, we have what's called a triangular fibrocartilage complex, which is just a lot of ligaments that help stabilize our wrist. So that piece of tape that's wrapping around, that can help stabilize while still allowing Jordan enough room in his wrist to actually hinge at the top and actually go through the full motion.
That actually answered my second question. What are the benefits of doing it and using the tape on those specific areas, so they give them support and everything like that. So for us normal human beings that we golf and stuff like that, like right now, I'm battling with 3 separate issues, and everybody keeps talking about tape. The bottom of my foot, ever since I broke my toes, and then I broke them a second time, and then me and him were golfing, and a golf ball came from God knows where and literally hit me on my toes. Since I broke my toes, the bottom of my foot, where the heel is at, that's been hurting, and they were saying that tape would be good for it because it runs up from there and then it hits me in the toes. And then since we started golfing again, I got like that sciatica, I think they call it. So in that muscle, and I know where it's at, I feel it, at that same exact spot. And of course I have hand injury. So when they fixed my tendons, I had 4 surgeries. When they fixed it, they left those 2 fingers a little short, so they don't go all the way up. So I've heard of the different benefits. Do you think somebody like me that have those kind of issues would benefit from using the K-tape?
Yeah. I mean, without analyzing you in particular and feeling it, especially the plantar fascia, so that fascia on the bottom of your foot, I think it would be very helpful for that.
Okay.
I wouldn't use it as, okay, I'm just going to tape it and that's all I'm going to do for it. As someone who's a rehab specialist, someone who likes to make people more independent and not rely on external objects. That's my whole goal, and that's my whole philosophy. In that instance, if it hurts, by hole 3, hole 6, hole 9, whatever, the tape allows you to keep inflammation a little bit lower, which can maybe help with some of that pain, because inflammation can cause a lot of pain.
Yeah. We wear squares, which have helped me a lot, with the support and the way that the shoe's built and everything. But after the fact, it's, like even last night, I'm trying to stretch out the sciatic part and I'm feeling it down on my foot and I'm using everything I can to twist. So where it hurts enough, but it feels like it's stretching it to make me feel, to help alleviate some of the stuff. So when I was happy that we were going to have you on to talk about the tape, because I know he has, he tapes his fingers and he has, stuff going on. So I want to know, everybody talks about it, but I want to make sure that we can benefit as golfers and not use it it's not a long-term fix. It's something to help you get through. We noticing golfers. I saw you have runners. I've seen people, weightlifters. It's helping all kinds of different sports. We're a golf show, so we're talking about more about the golf, but golf in details a lot of things. Working out, how can it help you, when you're working out and stuff like that? Does it help any sort of kind of way in recovery, or it's more to help you get through your workouts?
Yeah, I'll touch on one thing real quick.
Okay.
Because you guys are a golf podcast, right? So we talked about your injuries in particular, but golfer's elbow, tennis elbow, those are probably two of the most common injuries that amateur golfers have, or professional golfers, from all the way through the gamut. So those two in particular, I have noticed actually a pretty good benefit from adding the tape to help support that tendon. So it helps kind of disperse the forces that the muscles are taking, so that, again, we can keep inflammation down and still be able to perform. To touch briefly again on Jordan Spieth's injury and why he was not using maybe traditional tape, right? That traditional tape can limit some of the motion. And if he's dialed in, he's got every centimeter, perfect. So if you start to take some of that motion away, you're going to start to see his performance drop. So that's where the benefit of KT tape, where we add a little bit of that support, a little bit of that compression, but still allow a full range, allows him to keep his performance pretty high.
And that's what they need. They need to be able to perform, follow through, get through, do everything as normal as can be without that hindrance. Because even the slightest of hindrance could throw their golf game off. So Biggs touched a little bit on the fee. Now, do you remember that when what he did? Because we talked about it just before you came on. We don't even know how he walked after that. It looked brutal. It looked like literally like if you bent your wrist straight down. That's what it looked like. Now that tape that you put on it, besides the support that it's given you, we hear all kinds of crazy things, electronic magnets inside of this and that, and you're going to have a whole new life and live 30 years longer. KT never says that. What do they have inside? Or maybe that's private property, but what does the tape have with it? Because I've also heard that it also helps people heal, during the process from the bruising and other stuff like that. It seems to help in that process.
Yeah. So with Tony and that whole incident, because he dislocated that ankle and then popped it back in. So, and this is, I don't know him personally, right? And I don't know his story, but from what I've heard from individuals that do, I've heard that he's dislocated it multiple times. And so his ligaments are already loose from all those dislocations. And so the ability for him to walk again, whereas if I dislocated it, I would not be able to walk because his body has kind of morphed into more of a functional, we don't want it to go out, but if it does, we're not going to freak out and we're not going to lock everything up.
I freaked out.
Yeah, I did too. I was
in pain for him. Yeah.
I was like, no way. He was like, what happened? It was it looked brutal.
Dr. Rogers, I actually have a question. We're talking with Dr. Eli Rogers. He's an expert in using KT tape and pretty much can tell you, how to use it and stuff like that. So that's my next question to you, Dr. Rogers. Is there some secret way that it should be applied on the body, or is it case by case basis to figure it out? Because can I walk into a health store and buy this KT tape, come home and apply it, but is there a chance I could apply it in that area the wrong way?
Yes, there's always going to be the yes. People can get a little crazy with it. One of the most user-friendly things that I love about KT Tape is on their website, kttape.com. If you have a painful spot in a certain area, they provide suggestions on how to tape yourself.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of the really nice things. If you have a very unique case or if you have allergies to the adhesive, those are the kind of risks that you have to take without consulting a medical provider or, someone else that you really trust that knows what they're talking about.
Gotcha. Go ahead, Biggs. You can go first.
Is there any, like, how in medicine you have your generic brands, is there different brands of tape, or does somebody try to knock off KT tape themselves? And if so, what's your recommendation? Should they go and use the KT tape only because that's your experience and stay away from the knockoffs?
So I've used a couple different brands, just to be transparent with everything, because I want something that is going to hold up.
Right.
And again, why I like KT tape in particular, the quality when you grab it and when you use it, it does feel a lot sturdier than some of the other knockoff brand tapes. But again, like having multiple options, so they have ones that are more resistant to coming off if you're putting sunscreen on or if you're actually swimming. They have different models and different types of tape that apply that benefit of the support and the elasticity, while helping you match the sport that you're playing or the injury.
Right.
Yeah. So like with mine, if I want to go check and I get KT tape, I can go to the website and look. This is how you plan, whatever you call that thing, treat that part, and then I have that pain, like I tell you, that shoots down from that area. It'll literally tell me how to position the tape. And I know when you were explaining it, one of the big differences, which a lot of people I've heard from, because I've been asking people about KT and the others that they use, one of the biggest thing is the amount of time that it stays on. So there people were having issues that they would put it on, take a shower, and it was gone. You know what I mean? And from the KT side, I've heard that whatever they're using, that it stays on longer, it stays there, it stays in position, it doesn't start bunching up and stuff like that. So is that attributed to the actual kind of tape, or is it a glue kind of thing that they use that it's so supportive? I also heard, and you might be able to tell me because you tried the other ones, that it's stable. That's the word that they use, that the tape itself has more stability than others that they have tried.
Yeah. And I would say I definitely feel like it's a higher quality, so you can feel the density of it and the, I could say, stability of it as well.
Yeah.
It does provide, I think, a better support than that, but I just think that from my experience being on the medical panel with them, and the questions that they are asking me are coming from a basis of what's going to be the most beneficial for your patient, or what are you going to use that would actually help, that you would actually recommend for this person.
Gotcha.
So they're not coming at it from, okay, what's going to look the coolest, what's going to look the most appealing to this patient or to these consumers, right? So just as a background, I think the reason they're putting in time and effort into the quality of the product is because they're coming at it from generally wanting to change and make a product that's worthwhile. And that's coming from an original skeptic.
Yes. No. And there's a lot of we that are out there that, we we want to believe, but we're kind of skeptical. Okay, how is this thing going to help me? I can still move, but I'm not restricted. So there's a lot of things. And then you talk to other people, and that's all they do is swear by this tape. So you do have. I haven't heard anything honestly negative of KT. Otherwise, I would say it, because that's what the show's about. Pros, cons, good. You want to give everybody the full story. So anybody that's listening, if you ever have a question, or maybe we can send it to Dr. Rogers, and he can get it answered, and we can talk about it during another show or anything like that. But I'm seeing a lot of
really
benefit.
quick, I was just on KT Tape's website, which is www.kttape.com. Also, you can find KT Tape on Amazon as well.
Mhm.
But on their menu board, they have shop, learn, subscribe, and save, more about, but where to buy. Under learn, they have how KT Tape works, how to apply it. Then they have video libraries for the knees, neck, shoulders, back, legs, feet, arms and hands, and other product videos that they have. And they also have, a nice little table of the tape product itself, from gentle, cotton, pro wide, and pro extreme, and how many days of wear you should wear that particular tape. Like, I'll give you an example of the gentle. They say days of wear, 1 to 3 days, for whatever you want to put it on. General everyday wear for sensitive skin. So they have a very extensive knowledge board and video tutorials at kttape.com. And Dr. Eli Rogers, I think that's what you were referring to earlier on when you said they could go there and find out. And I never knew the extensive of knowledge that they had on that website, and certainly something I would look into, because that's my biggest fear. Am I applying it the right way? Am I putting it on the right way? Am I wearing it for the amount of time that I need to for the injury that I have, or whatever I'm suffering from? So yeah, definitely some good information.
And I think one of the nice things about it, again, they're offering that free on the website because we want, or they, I'm part of it, but I'm not
We
them.
got you.
So they want you to have that power and that independence where you can apply, you can try it, because the risks are fairly low, right? The only issue that I have seen is people that put it on for too long and their skin gets irritated.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's been the general
If you follow
trend.
the suggested amount of time that you should wear it, should have no problems whatsoever. So,
Yep.
Dr. Eli Rogers, thank you so much for joining us here on BGT TV and Biggs Golf Talk, and such great knowledge when it comes to KT Tape, and especially this most recent thing with Justin Thomas and him using it. So it's certainly definitely some good information. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it, guys.
All right. More Biggs Golf Talk coming your way right after this, and coming up next, my understanding from what I'm hearing, it's going to be the wisest woman in golf joining us here on BGT TV. We'll be right back right after this here on Biggs Golf Talk on the Ignite Golf Network.